Good afternoon, this is Media Center Ukraine, Odesa, and we continue for today to discuss the National Archival Fund of the State Archives of the Odesa region. Our speaker is Svitlana Vynohlovska, official of the State Archives of Odesa region. Good afternoon, Svitlana. Thank you for joining us today. It is very important in the conditions of this full-scale war to preserve the unique documents stored by our archive. What measures do you take to preserve our fund? Thank you very much for the invitation. Highlighting the current issues of the state archives of the Odesa region, it is important to dwell upon the topic of ensuring the preservation of documents of the National Archival Fund, which became particularly acute and relevant in the war. If other institutions faced the question of responsibility for their documentation with the beginning of the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation on the territory of Ukraine, the team of the State Archives of the Odesa region faced a much more difficult problem to preserve archival documents that reflect the history of the spiritual and social life of Ukrainian and other peoples which resided and continue living in the territory of our region from the 16th century till the present moment, because this is our cultural heritage, which we must preserve today for future generators, as our predecessors did. We are responsible for the preservation of more than 13,000 funds and more than 2 million cases. It is mainly administrative documentation of 3 periods. The first period, old acts before 1917, new acts after 1917, that includes the period of independence. When it comes to numbers, employees of the State Archive of the Odesa region maintain 5,000 tons of documents, which are placed in storage facilities with a total area of almost 5,000 square meters on racks 24.5 thousand linear meters long. When it comes to such huge amount of documents that should be cared about, we have custodians, and you can think that this is routine work, but it is very important. In order to reduce the risk of losing documents on paper, work is carried out to check the availability and physical condition of documents, providing documents from archival storage to reading rooms. These are creating folders and other types of work. Placing these documents in archival boxes protects them from dust and mechanical damages. Recording and additional recording of documents requires vigilance from custodians, and for example, if the boxes are damaged and they cannot be longer used to store documents. More than 13,000 cases were curtailed last year with a plan of 3,500. This year we have not performed these activities, but we provided cartoning for more than 1,000 cases from the planned 600. To protect documents from dust, redusting activities have been performed. In order to restore the physical integrity and strength of the documents, the staff of the State Archive of the Odesa region conduct a complex of restoration activities. At the preparatory stage, they select documents that need to be restored. Then follows the analysis of restoration activities needed. and all documents are considered individually. Restoration is a long, troublesome process that requires special knowledge, skills, and abilities. Today, it is extremely difficult to find an employee with the proper experience of restoring archival documents. That's why new employees must adopt the job of storing documents by learning from the older generation. The State Archive of the Odesa region keeps documents that require special attention, including the documents with the status of unique documents of the National Archive Fund and that are included in the State Register of Cultural Heritage of Ukraine. In the funds of the State Archive of the Odesa region, the documents with such a status, like drawings of the Odesa Opera and Ballet Theatre of 1882. These are also documents of special historical value. In the event that a situation would arise that would require the evacuation of documents, first of all, about 100 funds, which could be placed in around 9,000 boxes weighing more than 1,000 tons, about 250 cubic meters, should be taken to a safer area. And for that, around 100 vehicles would be needed of medium capacity. The issue of evacuation was of particular importance during the first weeks of the full-scale invasion, but thanks to our defense forces, there was no need in that evacuation. Currently, particularly valuable historical documents are safe and do not need to be replaced, and we would like to thank the armed forces of Ukraine for that. In conclusion, I would like to add that employees of the State Archive of the Odesa region carry out a lot of daily work which is necessary both for the preservation of the National Archival Fund and for its use. The war has introduced certain changes to our work, but one of the priority for the staff of the State Archive of the Odesa region still the work aimed to preserve the National Archival Fund of Ukraine. You've mentioned that at the beginning of the full-scale invasion you were ready to evacuate documents. Are there proposals for your foreign colleagues to keep these documents for you? No. And we have not considered the possibility of taking documents abroad, because back then, during the first weeks of the full-scale invasion, we considered some premises in the western regions of Ukraine. But luckily that was needed because we are protected by the armed forces of Ukraine. So back then you were looking for a storage facility on the territory of Ukraine, yes, in the western regions of Ukraine. Are there such places? Have you considered any options? I cannot disclose this information. I'm not asking to name the places, just asking if you have something on your mind. Yes. Have some documents been damaged in the State Archive during the full-scale invasion? No, luckily everything is fine, everything's there. No documents have been damaged, and the State Archives and district archives all over the region are also in good condition. You've mentioned routine activities to maintain documents. Do you have documents that require specific lighting for their storage? We don't need light because light kills documents. When it comes to restoration of documents, we need expensive paper, Japanese restoration paper. It is of good quality for restoration. This is the best paper today, and it is difficult for us to get it. How much does it cost? I don't remember the exact price, and the price keeps increasing, but this is the most expensive paper. And are there any alternatives to that Japanese paper? There are alternatives, but the question is about transparency of these documents. The more transparent the paper which is put on an original, the better. That's why I'm mentioning Japanese paper now. Are there any digitizing activities? Yes, they are very active. It is difficult to keep pace, to provide everything needed to the employees that are responsible for digitizing. So we need to prepare documents for the relevant employees for them to digitize, and then these documents should be put back at the place of their storage. You mentioned that there is a lack of people, professionals in restoration. What is the problem? I've mentioned that it is difficult to find a person with the relevant experience. It took us almost a year to find a person responsible for coverage, and we are proud of finding this person, a bookbinder, because he has accelerated our work. What is the problem? A lot of people have left, and there are not so many professionals. When it comes to bookbinders, even before the full-scale invasion, no one trains such professionals. Maybe this is the problem. Those people who know how to do that, they are already employed, and it is difficult just to find people. But anyway, we have the specialists we need at the moment. Do you receive a lot of requests for specific documents? Yes, we have a lot of requests, but it is not related to our topic. But I know that foreign citizens also refer to your archive. Yes, those people who used to live here or who have relatives who used to live here, of course, they refer to us. As for preservation of documents, if we have such significant problems with the specialists, perhaps you get proposals from foreign experts. No, we have not received and we have not been looking for such experts, and we were offered to support us with paper, so we submitted application, and we are waiting now because this is a long process. What about other regions of Ukraine? And the lack of bookbinders, is it the nationwide problem? I don't know, because I only know about the situation in our region. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I would like to remind you that our speaker is Svitlana Vynohlovska, and the head of the Department of the Maintaining of your Documents of the State Archives of Odesa region will continue at 3 p.m.